Bank manager exposes $5 billion deal. Incredible moment when CO's dad's ID was thrown to the FLO. Jamie's heart raced as she flipped through the documents, her mind spinning. The stakes were sky high, and the tension in the room crackled like a live wire. It was an ordinary morning in this small Midwestern town, but Jamie sensed the air heavy with the weight of extraordinary decisions. She'd spent a decade building bonds with the community, helping struggling artists and families realize their dreams. Now, that very community hung in the balance, tethered to a deal that promised riches but threatened to pull the town apart. As she dug deeper into the proposed $5 billion deal spearheaded by a CEO notorious for his ruthless tactics, her stomach churned. The excitement of potential growth battled against a growing pit of dread. Jamie thought of the families relying on this decision, people who had always trusted her to look out for their best interests. The anxiety coiled tighter within her as she considered the ramifications of aligning with a greed-driven corporate titan. Just then, in the middle of a heated board meeting, everything shifted. A battered ID card slipped from the CEO's briefcase, hitting the floor with a dull thud. The room fell silent. Jamie's eyes zeroed in on the card. It belonged to the CEO's estranged father, a beloved local war veteran, who had stood as a symbol of honor and integrity. Memories flooded her mind. A frail man, once a beacon of resilience, now overshadowed by a legacy riddled with avarice. Jamie's heartbeat quickened. This was more than a document. It was a powerful reminder of what was at stake. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The sight of that ID card ignited a fire within Jamie. She suddenly found herself fighting not just for her own integrity, but for the very soul of her community. Fear spiked in her gut as she envisioned her friends turning their backs, whispering doubts about her loyalty. Would they demand conformance in the face of potential prosperity? The thought tightened her chest. Jamie's eyes scanned the room, searching for support amid the simmering resentment. She couldn't shake the feeling this was her defining moment. Tension hung in the air like a storm cloud, emotions running high as Jamie prepared to confront the CEO. What if she exposed the truth behind his ruthless empire, and the broken dreams it built upon? The atmosphere pulsed with uncertainty, and the murmurs from her co-workers echoed the weight of the community's struggles. As she stepped toward the exit, ready to rally her town and reveal her findings, a message pinged on her phone. It was from the CEO's father, requesting a private meeting in the very square where he had once inspired hope. Jamie hesitated, the world around her fading into a whisper. Would this meeting catalyze change or plunge everything she loved into chaos? The crowd outside awaited her decision, eyes wide with anxious anticipation. In that moment, Jamie stood at a crossroads, the echoes of her community's heart beating in sync with her own, ready for a truth that could unite or divide them forever. The air felt thick and electric as Jamie stepped outside, leaving behind the chaos of the boardroom. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a golden hue over the town square that had witnessed countless community gatherings. Each corner held a piece of history, each brick echoed laughter and shared moments of happiness. But today, the weight of uncertainty pressed down, thickening the air around her. As she turned her phone over in her hands, Jamie replayed the message that had just landed. "Can we talk? I can help you see the bigger picture." The words floated like an anchor, tethering her thoughts to the veteran whose ID lay discarded moments ago. Could he really be a voice of reason, or just another part of the tangled web of corporate greed? She felt torn, Her instincts battling the raw urgency of the situation. As she made her way toward the square, Jamie spotted familiar faces, friends, neighbors, and local artists she had supported for years. Their expressions mirrored her own. Concern, fear, and hope all mingled in the radiant sunlight. Each step she took felt heavier, as though the ground was urging her to reconsider her path. Would the local hero prove to be a guide or a ghost, lost in the shadows of a corporation's ambition? Jamie reached the center of the square and paused, her heart beating in a steady tempo of doubt and resolve. She could feel the eyes of the townsfolk on her, waiting for answers. The specter of the CO loomed large in her mind, his ruthless tactics echoing in her ears. If she accepted this meeting, she might uncover secrets that could benefit her community, but also risk exposing them to darker realities. The choice felt monumental. Then, as if sensing her indecision, a gentle voice broke through the tension. "Jamie?" It was Clara, a local artist with wild curls and an unshakable spark. "Are you okay?" "Holding it together," Jamie replied, forcing a smile even as her thoughts spiraled. Clara stepped closer, concern etched on her face. "Word has gotten around about that deal. People are scared. They trust you to make the right choice." The weight of those words cut through Jamie's anxiety. She had spent so long advocating for her community, and here they stood, leaning on her as their pillar. Those expectations were both a burden and a beacon. She nodded slightly, breathing in the scent of freshly mown grass mixed with the distant sound of laughter. "I can't bear to let them down," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "But this meeting, it could change everything." Clara nodded, understanding the depth of Jamie's dilemma. "Sometimes, the hardest decisions lead to the brightest outcomes. Just trust your gut, Jamie." There was a conviction in her eyes that ignited a flicker of hope within Jamie. As Clara spoke, Jamie spotted an elderly figure ambling towards them, the lines of age yet untouched by doubt. The familiar outline of the CO's father materialized, a war hero returning to the front line. The square fell silent, anticipation hanging in the air. Memories of bravery wrapped around his figure like a warm embrace. But so did the weight of uncertainty. "Excuse me, folks," the old man said, his voice gravelly but firm. "I'm here to talk truth." Jamie's heart thundered. Was she ready for this conversation? But before she could respond, the crowd began murmuring, "What truth? And what does he mean?" A palpable sense of urgency swept through the square. Jamie knew in that moment she needed to face this head-on. Any lingering doubt vanished. There was no backing down now. Would she find the courage to uncover what lay beneath the glossy surface of the deal? What impact could his truth have on everything she held dear? Her eyes locked on the old man's, and she felt hope stir within her. "Let us talk," she said, stepping forward into the unknown. The murmurs of the crowd buzzed around her like angry bees as Jamie stepped closer to the old man. She could feel the weight of their gazes, full of expectation and dread, pressing against her back. The sun dipped lower, painting long shadows across the plaza and reflecting the unease rippling through the community. "Truth. That's a powerful word," Jamie said, her voice steadying against the tide of uncertainty. "What truth do you have for us today?" She felt the urgency in her own voice, her heart racing as she faced a man steeped in history. The old man cleared his throat, eyes sharp yet kind. "I don't want to see our town become just another line on a spreadsheet. This deal, you all hear about it, but do you know what it really means?" His words hung in the air, stirring the crowd's anxiety. Jamie could see Clara in her periphery, her hands clenched tightly, eyes wide. Jamie's pulse quickened as she sensed the dread creeping in, threatening to break the fragile hope that had settled over her. "We must safeguard what this place stands for," the old man continued. "Your CO, he has plans that could change everything for the worse. Values are at stake here." "What do you mean?" Someone in the crowd shouted, and an explosion of questions followed. What are his plans? Why should we believe you? The questions bounced off the cobblestones like stones tossed into a lake, creating ripples of uncertainty and distrust. Because I've seen it before, he said, voice filled with urgency. I've sat at those tables, made those calls. The people in charge often lose sight of who they serve. They see nothing but profit, and that greed will swallow a community whole. His gaze turned piercing as he fixed it on Jamie. And I see that same fire in him. A fire that could destroy what you all hold dear. A silence fell. The kind of heavy silence that feels like it could crush you. Jamie's heart raced at the reality that seemed to dawn upon everyone. Those in the square shifted uneasily, some exchanging glances. Doubt crept in, settling like a storm cloud. Was this old man's warning a crucial revelation, or merely the confused rambling of a bygone era? What do we do? Clara spoke up, breaking the quiet, her voice strained. How can we stop them? Jamie inhaled deeply, feeling the weight of her decision shift in that moment. This wasn't just about her anymore. This was about the community, their hopes and dreams. We confront it, she declared, determination flooding her veins. We dig deeper. We find out what's really going on and get the truth out there. The murmurs grew louder, people visibly rallying around her words. A swell of energy sparked through the crowd. It was a flicker of unity, of resolve. They sparkled with belief again, fueled by the urgency of a chance to act. Hope flared in Jamie. Was that all they needed? To come together? And we need to protect each other, she continued. Everyone must be involved. We cannot let fear divide us. We'll stand strong, as a community. The old man smiled softly, his eyes glistening. That is the spirit. Always remember, Jamie, it's not just about truth. It's about trust and unity. Keep that alive, and they can't break you. But Jamie felt lighter while facing the specter of battle ahead. With every heartbeat, the gravity of her choices weighed heavier. She turned to the crowd, searching their eyes, knowing they were just as afraid as she was. The sun sank lower, shadows stretching long across the ground. A flicker of something momentum, determination filled the square. They were ready to dig in, to uncover the layers hiding behind the CO's polished exterior. And deep down, a looming question hung over Jamie like a dark cloud. Would the truth they uncovered not only save their community, but expose deeper betrayals that would shake their foundations? With a firm resolve, Jamie stepped forward, ready to lead her people into the unknown. What will we find when we seek the truth? She wondered, heart pounding in her chest as excitement and fear washed over her. As the sun dipped lower, casting an orange glow over the plaza, Jamie could feel the palpable energy in the crowd. They were with her, a sea of hopeful faces ready to climb the mountain ahead. But where to begin? Let us gather back here tomorrow, she suggested, her voice cutting through the remnants of anxiety. We'll share what we find, work together. We have to be the eyes and ears of this town. Clara nodded in agreement, her spirit visibly lifted. Jamie could see the resolve setting in. Yet, doubt still lingered in the air like a thin mist. People exchanged glances, whispering among themselves, as if plotting their own path through the chaos. That night, Jamie struggled to sleep. The thought of what lay ahead kept fighting against the comfort of her pillow. She tossed and turned, her mind racing through the possibilities. The whispers of betrayal, the consequences of knowledge. What if they uncovered something too big? Something that could change everything? As dawn broke, Jamie felt a flutter of nerves mixed with adrenaline. She gathered her notebooks, pens, and her phone. Ready or not, it was time to dive into the unknown. She had no idea where to start, but instinct tugged her toward the local diner, a familiar gathering place where stories tangled like spider silk. The diner buzzed that morning, filled with the scent of fresh coffee and sizzling bacon. Jamie spotted Clara already at a booth, poring over papers. "Hey! Have you found anything?" Clara's eyes sparkled with excitement, but Jamie could also see the worry there. "Nothing concrete yet. Just rumors. But I thought it was worth leveraging our connections. If we ask the right questions." Jamie trailed off as the waitress approached with an eager smile. "Coffee? Breakfast?" she asked, puzzle pieces of news ready to be served. "Yes, please," Clara replied, rubbing her hands together. "And we might need a cherry pie for later." While they waited, Jamie pulled out her phone. "Let us reach out to some folks. See what they know about the new deals, maybe even the CEO himself or the board members." Clara nodded and began typing away, her fingers dancing across the screen. "I know some people in town who work for the bank. They might have insight." The hours passed, connecting dots, stirring conversations, and catching secrets. Jamie listened carefully. The urgency was building, but so were the revelations. Conversations led them deeper into the tangled web of business dealings and personal grudges. As the sun climbed high, there was a knock against the window. A man stood outside, wearied and hunched, clutching a brown bag. Jamie squinted, recognizing him from the square, the old man who had spoken so fervently. "Is it too late?" he mouthed, looking desperate. Jamie motioned for him to come inside. He slid into the booth, his breath ragged with apprehension. "I have something for you," he whispered, carefully extracting a manila envelope from his bag. "What is it?" Clara asked, leaning in, her curiosity piqued. "A document, a connection to the deal. It holds names, details things that could blow this wide open. But it's dangerous." His eyes darted around, as if fearing shadows were following him. Jamie couldn't breathe. This was a lead, a glimpse of truth. Her heart raced as she took the envelope, unsure of what final revelation would spill out. Would it cement their resolve or ignite a powder keg beneath their feet? "Will it save our community?" she questioned, feeling the weight of her dreams resting in those flimsy pages. "Maybe if you're willing to fight," he said, voice low. "But the truth is never easy." Tension danced in the booth, as Jamie exchanged anxious glances with Clara, fear tightening around them like a noose. Suddenly, one thing became painfully clear. Stepping into the light could also mean stepping into danger. She unsealed the envelope slowly, heart pounding, mind racing. What's next? She wondered, urgency coursing through her veins as the first paper slipped out. And in that moment, they were on the precipice of truth, staring into an abyss that might just reshape everything they held dear. What secrets lay within, and would they have the courage to confront them? Inside the envelope, Jamie's fingers trembled as she fished out the first stack of papers. The text was densely packed, but the bold names on the first page leapt out at her, sending a wave of dread through her. This was just corporate jargon. These were familiar faces, local names intertwined in their community, all connected by a thread of greed and deception. "Clara, look at this," Jamie whispered, her voice barely rising above the din of the diner. She slid the top page across the table. Clara's eyes scanned the names, her brow furrowing with urgency. "I know these people. They're at our town council meetings." This Clara's voice trailed off, her expression shifting as the gravity of the situation washed over her. "This isn't just business. It's betrayal." The old man leaned in closer, his voice shaky but firm. "What you see there goes deep. They're hiding something bigger than what's on those pages. If you dig, it will come to light." Jamie took a deep breath, piecing it all together. The rumors they had heard, the strange decisions coming from town hall, all of it suddenly made sense. "What are they planning? Why now?" she muttered. "They're looking to sell off the town's heart, its very soul. Strip away the small businesses, turn it into something sterile and corporate," the old man rasped. But if they're stopped, if you all rally together, what do we need to do? Clara asked, her resolve reinstated as the pieces of their plan began clicking into place. We can't just rush and blindly, Jamie warned, splashing cold water on Clara's enthusiasm. This is dangerous territory. We need to be smart. But time isn't on our side, Clara countered, her eyes sharp. The longer we wait, the more they'll solidify their plans. Another voice broke through their tense conversation, a woman sitting nearby. She had been listening discreetly, her expression shifting from curiosity to concern. I heard you mention the town council. They're having a meeting tonight. If you know something, you should bring it to them. Tonight? Jamie felt her pulse quicken. It was all happening too fast. Could they really confront these people? The old man nodded, determination etched into his features. A public meeting. It's a perfect opportunity for you to stand up and speak for those who can't. Use this envelope. They can't ignore the truth. Jamie and Clara exchanged a glance charged with uncertainty. So many unknowns rippled beneath the surface. Could they take the risk? Okay, we'll do it, Jamie finally said, her voice steadying. But we need to gather others. We can't go in alone. We have to build a coalition, a united front. The old man's smile grew wider, a blend of hope and caution mingling in his eyes. You're the light they're not prepared for, but remember, shadows lurk where lights shine brightest. They finished their coffee, the weight of the task ahead pressing down like a cloak. As Jamie walked Clara to the door, she paused, glancing back at the old man. Thank you. We'll let you know what happens. With a nod, he slipped back into his brown bag, disappearing into the mass of conversations and laughter in the diner. Standing outside, the sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows that danced on the pavement. We have to start making calls, Jamie said. If we're going to expose this, we need everyone. Friends, neighbors, since when have we settled for less? Clara's smile returned, renewed and vibrant. We'll start a movement, Jamie. People deserve to know the truth. As they hurried down the street, excitement buzzing in the air, Jamie felt a rush of determination. But in the corner of her mind, the old man's warning loomed. What would they have to face as they shone this light into dark corners? That night, when the sun dipped behind the horizon, their courage would be tested. Would they be ready to handle what lay within the hearts of their community? The clock was ticking, and Jamie felt a chill of uncertainty. As they prepared to confront the truth, a deeper question lingered: how would they manage the fallout when the truth broke? Clara paced back and forth in her living room, the shadows of the evening stretching across the walls like unseen burden. What if no one believes us? She finally blurted, stopping short. The worry in her eyes mirrored the unease tightening Jamie's stomach. They'll believe us if we show them the proof, Jamie replied, clutching the envelope that felt heavier with every passing moment. It's right here. This is bigger than us, Clara. It's our town. I know. Clara sank onto the couch, rubbing her temples. It's just a lot to handle. What if they retaliate? Jamie took a deep breath, envisioning the meeting already. We'll have numbers. We'll bring our friends, the community. We're fighting for them too. Just then Jamie's phone buzzed, jolting the tension. It was a group message from their friend Jessie. Are we really doing this? What do you think? Jamie texted back. Yes. Meet at my place in 30. Clara looked doubtful, but Jamie squared her shoulders. The meeting starts at 7. We can't give them time to silence our voices. We need to prepare. Who else can we bring? Clara's eyes lit up, one by one recalling names. The baker down the street. He knows everyone. And Mr. Thompson, from the hardware store, he can rally the older folks. They trust him. Yes. Let us reach out. We need as many as we can get. The buzz in Jamie's chest transformed into a spark, driving them to act. Within 20 minutes, They had called, texted, and even knocked on doors. Murmurs of support cascaded through the town. The baker offered to urge others to come to the meeting, promising free pastries in exchange for allies. Mr. Thompson recently lost his wife to the corporate takeover of their favorite diner. He was ready to fight. "Look," Jamie pointed out, pinning down the final details on her notepad. "These are genuine people who love this town. We just have to convince them that we can do something." As they filled their house with voices, laughter, and the shared anxiety of taking a stand, little by little Jamie sensed the weight lifting. Faces she knew, neighbors, friends, their families began to rally behind a common cause. Old grievances, past friendships, everything had blended into a tapestry woven with shared vision. "All right, listen up everybody," Jamie addressed the group once everyone had settled. Nervous responses bubbled under her words. "We're going to this meeting as a united front. We have proof that the council is hiding something, and we have to be ready to show them. The more of us there are, the harder it'll be for them to ignore us." Clara chimed in, sharing a smile with Jessie, who nodded in solidarity. As plans solidified, Jamie felt the rhythm of hope building in the room. But that hope was laced with tension. What would they uncover at the meeting? Would they face hostility or be met with indifference? The clock ticked loudly, its sound swallowing their excited chatter as they began rehearsing their lines, preparing for the confrontation to come. Each voice added to the chorus of determination, but Jamie's heart echoed the old man's warning. Shadows lurked everywhere. As they departed Jamie's house and headed for town hall, the weight of what they were about to confront pressed down on Jamie again. "Let us not forget why we're doing this," Jamie urged, addressing the group before they crossed the threshold, feeling their solidarity wash over her like a balm. Just then, the air shifted, and a low rumble of thunder rolled across the sky. "Looks like we might get a storm, huh?" Jessie joked, but Jamie felt like the thunder was not just weather. It was a warning of the storm ahead, a battle ignited, and a secret waiting to be revealed. Standing at the entrance of Town Hall, Jamie hesitated for a moment. "Are we really ready for this?" But before anyone could answer, the door swung open to the hall's bright lights and a room full of familiar, curious faces. They had arrived, and whatever happened next would change everything. But what lay in the shadows waiting for them on the other side? As they crossed the threshold, the air buzzed with a mixture of excitement and dread. The bright lights of the town hall illuminated the weary faces of the crowd, but they were not alone. Town officials, clustered at the front like guardians of a hidden treasure, eyed them with thinly veiled disdain. Jamie's heart raced as she took in the scene. The room held more people than she had expected, many familiar faces shooting her encouraging nods. But in contrast, the council members seemed prepared, their expressions unreadable, as if they had practiced their poker faces for ages. Jamie could almost feel the tension crackling in the air. "Let us keep the energy up," Clara whispered fiercely, squeezing Jamie's arm. The warmth of her friend steadied Jamie, bolstering her resolve. "We can do this," Clara murmured, and Jamie nodded, attempting to shake off her doubts. As they settled into the rigid wooden chairs, Jamie scanned the room, searching for Mr. Thompson and the baker. She spotted them, flanking the entryway, quietly arranging themselves into a defensive line, ready for whatever was to come. It was comforting. They were all there for a reason for their town. Once the mayor called the meeting to order, the mood shifted. The officials started discussing mundane issues, dismissing the crowd as presence, treating it like background noise. Jamie felt the heaviness return, suffocating her spirit. She didn't come here to sit idly. They needed to be heard. Raising her hand, Jamie stood up. The murmurs in the room hushed unexpectedly, eyes landing on her. Clara's eyes widened, and Jamie could almost feel her heart beating against her ribs. Excuse me," she started, her voice trembling yet determined. "We're here to discuss the upcoming changes, and the rumors surrounding the $5 billion deal. Many of us in the community believe there is more to this than what is being presented. A ripple of surprise traversed the group. It was as if a bolt of electricity had surged through them. Clara gave Jamie an encouraging nod, as whispers filled the room. But the council seemed unperturbed. The mayor raised an eyebrow, feigning indifference. "Thank you for your enthusiasm. We will get to community concerns shortly," the mayor said dismissively, glancing at the clock instead of looking at her directly. The laughter that erupted from one of the council members sliced through Jamie's resolve. It felt mocking. She was losing her courage. But then, with a flicker of determination, she pressed on. "You have to understand. This deal affects our lives, the locals. We deserve transparency." The crowded hall burst into chatter, stirring the emotions of those present. Clara stood up now, the fire ignited within her. "You can't silence us anymore. We have proof, real proof." At that, Jamie felt the growing energy of her peers. They couldn't let the council brush them off so easily. Just as Clara was about to continue, Mr. Thompson spoke up, his voice strong and steady. "We've lost too much already. This town is worth fighting for, and we will not back down." The sound of claps and encouragement thundered in return. It was building. The mayor's face darkened as the crowd rallied behind them. "Is there anything you'd like to share, young lady?" the mayor finally asked, gesturing to a young girl standing in front. The girl looked nervous but raised her voice. "We deserve to know why the diner was closed down. It used to be our second home." Each voice added to the swell of dissent, painting the picture of the town's vitality and spirit against the council's indifference. The crowd's intensity gave Jamie wings. She glanced at the envelope resting in her pocket, the proof they had. It was time. "Everyone here deserves to know the truth," Jamie declared, pulling out the envelope. "We have documents that clearly show the money funneling into corporate pockets, while our community suffers." A hush fell, and her hand shook as she opened it, heart hammering in her chest. Just then, a loud crash echoed through the hall. A figure burst through the doors, the bank manager, red-faced, panting. "I need to speak. You have to hear this, they can't keep it quiet any longer." The room held its breath. The stakes were rising higher than she could ever have imagined. What would the bank manager reveal? And what truths lay behind the shadows as they faced down the council? The bank manager, Mr. Ellis, staggered into the room, his face flushed and eyes wide with urgency. The murmurs of the crowd grew louder, rising like a tidal wave as curiosity mixed with concern. What could he have to say that would shift the already brewing storm? "Mr. Mayor," he called out, his voice trembling yet powerful enough to slice through the babble. "I have critical information regarding the deal and its implications for our community." The mayor's feigned calm cracked. He shifted in his seat, his facade slipping as he glanced nervously at his fellow council members. Jamie felt the energy in the room shift. The crowd leaned forward, hungry for details. "Go on, Mr. Ellis," the mayor managed, his expression betraying the anxiety growing within him. Mr. Ellis took a deep breath. "The deal involves more than just transferring funds. I've uncovered documents linking your office to illicit activities that could jeopardize our town's future, and some of these documents were meant to remain hidden." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Jamie's heart pounded. This was the moment they had waited for, the confrontation they needed. The funds allocated for community projects are being redirected. He paused, looking into the crowd, his gaze firm. They're being funneled to out-of-state corporations. This means abandoned buildings, closed businesses, families losing their homes. The fate of our town rests in these decisions. Clara grasped Jamie's arm tighter, eyes shimmering with hope. The crowd began murmuring in disbelief, the collective realization hitting home. They had known something was wrong. It was now turning into a palpable truth. "Mr. Ellis," "You're speaking grave accusations," the mayor interrupted, a trace of desperation seeping into his tone. "Where is your evidence?" The bank manager reached into his briefcase, hands slightly shaking as he pulled out a manila folder, papers spilling from the edges like a cascade of justice. "These are the financial statements, the contracts signed under the table," and even he hesitated. "Even a birth certificate that connects to an individual who has ties to the CEO of the company involved." The murmurs turned to shocked gasps. A birth certificate? Jamie's mind raced with the implications. The CO's father? This was big, this was game-changing. "Who is this person?" someone shouted from the back, voice thick with disbelief. Mr. Ellis looked straight at the mayor, unwavering. "Henry Caldwell. He has been pulling strings behind the curtain. Your perplexing decisions, Mr. Mayor, they all lead back to him." A ripple of tension swept through the hall, the crowd as emotions intensified. Jamie felt the thrill of excitement and fear coursing through her veins. They had the proof. Would it be enough to fight back against the council's indifference? As Mr. Ellis laid out further damning evidence, Jamie couldn't shake the unease growing in her gut. This was a pivotal moment. As the sun dipped lower outside, casting shadows inside the hall, she realized the stakes were intertwined with their very lives. The crowd was on fire. Fervent voices united in protest, but whispers of doubt still lingered at the edge of her thoughts. What would the repercussions be? How far were they willing to push? Her gaze darted to Clara, who was visibly moved, rallying others to stand up and speak. Jamie took a deep breath, steeling her heart. This confrontation was more than just about the deal, it was about their home, their families. But the council refused to back down. "You think your little charade can intimidate us?" one of them sneered, trying to regain control. "You're treading on thin ice." A tense silence followed as Jamie prepared to speak again. She couldn't let fear win. "I refuse to stand by while our town is sold out," she declared, her voice steady. "This is our moment. We can't let them bury the truth." Just then, an unexpected sound echoed through the hall, the unmistakable crack of a chair tipping over, followed by a muffled scream from the crowd. Jamie's heart dropped. What was happening? The air thickened with uncertainty. The fight wasn't over, and the council could play dirty. What had they unleashed? With all eyes now on the chaos erupting near the back, she felt an unsettling sensation. Was this just the beginning of something much bigger? The chaos erupted as bodies shifted and shouted. Jamie squinted, trying to catch a glimpse of what was happening at the back of the room. People were scrambling, panic swirling as someone stumbled over a fallen chair. A hushed murmur swept across the crowd, emotion turning from anger to confusion. "Stay calm," she heard Clara shout, her voice cutting through the rising tension. Jamie felt the need to act. They couldn't let this moment be overshadowed by chaos. She stepped forward, heart pounding in her chest. "Everyone, please!" Jamie called out, raising her hands to quell the noise. "Let us focus. This isn't over. We can't lose our momentum." The murmurs quieted, eyes turning back to her, seeking guidance amid the storm. Mr. Ellis had regained his composure, his steadfast gaze landing on the mayor, visibly rattled. "You can't silence the truth," he insisted, his voice steadying. "This isn't just about a deal. This is about all of us. Let us hear what else you have, Mr. Ellis." The mayor replied, attempting to recover a shred of authority, though his voice wavered. The heat of the moment pressed heavily against him, the crowd fueled by a newfound determination. Jamie caught Clara's eye across the room, a spark of inspiration igniting between them. "Let us take a stand," Clara whispered, determination etched on her face. Jamie nodded, steeling herself for what they needed to do next. "How many here are willing to stand against this corruption?" Jamie's voice rang out again, the question a rallying cry. One by one, hand shot up. The solidarity of the crowd fueled Jamie's courage. With the mayor's expression twisting into anger, he barked, "This is a distraction. If you think you can, you've been caught." Someone shouted back, "You're just scared now that the truth is coming out." The crowd rippled with agreement, a wave of voices rising in unison. Jamie felt a thrill run through the air, an electric sense of purpose. But behind that thrill, her heart still raced with fear of what could happen next. They were pushing against a powerful system, and that fear clawed at her insides. "Mr. Ellis, you have all those documents, show them," called out someone in the front. "Show us what you know." The bank manager nodded, his expression resolute. He scrambled to gather the papers, holding them high for all to see. The spotlight illuminated the documents that many of them had only heard whispered in rumors. And just as he began to explain the discrepancies, a harsh voice cut through. "You think you can make this stick?" It was one of the council members, their voice dripping with disdain. "Those papers are worthless. We've got lawyers who will crush any claim you make." The crowd froze, a ripple of apprehension washing over them. Doubt entered Jamie's heart. She knew they were only a few steps away from losing everything they had fought for. But amid that fear, a flicker of resolve ignited within her. This was the moment they needed to push harder. "You can dig your heels in, but let us not forget what is at stake," Jamie shouted, feeling the fire rise in her belly. "This isn't just about us here. It's about every family, every business that depends on this community." The crowd echoed with shouts, their chorus echoing off the walls, solidifying their unity. But as Jamie felt hope build, she caught a glimpse of something more sinister in the mayor's eyes, a flash of fury that suggested this was far from over. Suddenly, she saw a figure moving towards the exit, fast and furious. It was one of the council members, clutching a briefcase tightly. Instinctively, she knew he was about to flee the scene. Was this an escape or the final act of their power play? "Stop!" Jamie called, her resolve what felt like a thread holding everything together. "You can't run away from this." But her words hung in the air like a challenge, unanswered. What would it take to truly reveal the darkness surrounding them, and would they have the strength to hold their ground? The walls of opportunity and danger began to close in, leaving Jamie wondering if this was only the beginning. With the atmosphere thick with tension, Jamie watched as the council member paused at the door, caught between escape and the furious anger of the crowd. It was a key moment. Would they let him slip away, or would they seize this chance to confront the darkness that threatened their community? "Don't let him go," Jamie shouted, her voice slicing through the noise like a beacon. The emotion spilling from her heart echoed around the hall, igniting a fire that had been simmering beneath the surface. "Yeah, we deserve answers," someone in the crowd yelled, emboldening others to jump in with their agreement. Slowly, a ripple of movement began, people stepping towards the council member, their resolve strengthening like vines intertwining. The old man's advice echoed in Jamie's mind. This wasn't just about seeking the truth. It was about fostering trust and unity. "Everyone, let us surround him," Jamie declared, her heart racing, fueled by the unity blossoming around her. With newfound determination, they closed in on the escaping official. The mayor's face drained of color, visibly shaken. Jamie's heart swelled with gratitude as she saw Mr. Thompson pushing through the crowd, rallying the older members of the community to stand firm. "Speak up, or we'll make sure everyone knows why you're trying to run," Mr. Thompson called out, authority ringing in his voice. The council member hesitated, glancing at his colleagues. Fear rippled across his features as Jamie advanced towards him, her voice gaining strength. "You can face the truth today, or you'll have to reckon with your actions later. You can't hide forever." Caught in the crosshairs of their united front, he faltered, the briefcase trembling in his grip as whispers turned to a crescendo of collective outrage. You think you can keep ripping our heart out while pretending to serve us? Clara yelled, her passion igniting the crowd once more. This is about our lives. Another voice echoed. Each shout built momentum, shaking the very walls of the town hall, and Jamie felt the urgency swell. Their community was awakening, arming itself with courage to reclaim what had been at risk of being lost forever. Get back here, she urged, her eyes locked onto the council member S. Let us talk about the truth, the deals, the betrayal. Let us discuss the future of our town. Just as the crowd began inching closer, the mayor, sensing the tides turning, stepped forward, desperation coloring his face. You're just a bunch of angry citizens. You're not going to win. The real power lies with the board. But Jamie grasped the opportunity. The real power is right here, in this room. We've seen enough. We have the documents, and we have the people. We choose to fight. In that moment, Jamie smiled as Clara and Mr. Thompson raised their voices alongside her, leading the crowd to chant words of defiance. Fight for the town. Fight for the truth. The energy surged within the crowd, an electric pulse resonating with hope and determination. They were no longer waiting for permission, they were taking action. Jamie looked around at the faces of her friends, neighbors, and the community that once stood lifeless under corporate chains, now radiating vibrance and readiness. The council member, overwhelmed and backed into a corner, felt the crushing weight of their collective resolve and regret. Enough, he finally shouted, dropping the briefcase to the floor, the sound echoing in the silence that followed. What do you want from me? Everything, Jamie answered without hesitation. You tell us what is happening, and you can start by returning what belongs to this community. With palpable tension, the room awaited his response, every eye locked onto him like a spotlight. The townsfolk were ready to stand as one, a wall of unity against the tide of greed. He hesitated, as if caught in the struggle of deciding to shield his own interests or face the overwhelming force of their truth. Fine, he relented, voice breaking. But understand the risks. The thrill of victory surged through Jamie's veins as the entire room erupted into cheers and applause, their spirit twinkling into the air like fireflies in the night. This moment crystallized what it meant to be a community, a family woven together by trust, love, and a shared purpose that held the power to thwart greed's darkness. As Jamie stood taller, breathing in the sense of victory, she realized that while there would still be battles ahead, they had taken the first step. They had begun to ignite a flame that could not be extinguished. I won't let you down. Memories of her past promises echoed in her heart. They would uncover the truth, rally around their community, and protect their future together. After the meeting, as Jamie walked home under a starlit sky, she felt the blanket of hope wrapped tightly around her shoulders. They would fight. They would embrace the truth, and together, they would stand strong against the shadows. That night, the world felt different. The future was no longer uncertain, it was bright with possibility. Joy welled within her, igniting a radiant smile that stretched across her face. This was just the beginning, and it had been worth the fight. Now, this is your moment. Don't miss out. You need to subscribe now to catch the next exclusive stories that will inspire your heart. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and keep our momentum going. Comment below with your feelings about this incredible ending. Share instantly this victory with at least 5 friends who need to witness this transformation. Picture how they all feel as part of this united journey. Let us keep this energy alive. Don't wait not even one more second to support our community and make our voices heard.